For months now, people have been writing off Donald Trump's chances of being the president, saying that he's just a joke or a fluke or a fad, and honestly, I used to write him off too. But after looking into him, I have to say it is time to stop laughing, because if you watch to the end of this video, you'll see that Donald Trump has some incredibly effective mental techniques and the charisma to influence the masses. And as his poll numbers are clearly showing, he's got a very serious chance of working his way not only to be the Republican nominee, but the president of the United States. So let's understand exactly how he's doing it by looking at his first technique, fear.
There is a great hatred toward Americans by large segments of the Muslim population. 25% agreed that violence against Americans here in the United States is justified. Sharia authorizes murder against non-believers, beheadings, and more unthinkable acts. It's going to get worse and worse. You're going to have more World Trade Centers. It's going to get worse and worse, folks.
Now, fear is an incredibly powerful emotion. Firstly, it captures our attention like no other emotion can. We focus intensely on the thing that is giving us that fear. Secondly, it shuts down higher thinking. When we're terrified by a bump in the night, we don't think rationally about the fact that it's likely just the wind. Our critical thinking skills dip as we focus simply on protecting ourselves. And thirdly, fear feels crappy. We don't like to feel afraid. So the fastest way to get out of fear and to move towards a powerful emotion is to move into anger.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists. China's taking our jobs, they're taking our money. Syrians are now being caught at the southern border. We don't know who they are, could be ISIS. Would never have made that horrible, disgusting, incompetent deal with Iran. They're a terrorist nation.
Now, notably, the outlets for this anger are always outgroups. They're never necessarily segments of the voting population. They're Sharia Muslims or Mexican rapists, people that are not going to influence this election. And he sets it up so that if you disagree with him, you are on the side of the other. You are anti-American life. It's a very powerful position for him to take, even if it statistically doesn't make any sense with what's actually going on in the world. Now, with this fear that Donald has created, he takes a next step, and that is to imply and basically say that no one else will keep you safe.
Do you think this is tough and you're not being treated
This
fairly?
isn't tough and easy.
Imagine what it's going to be like dealing with Putin, or dealing with President Xi, or dealing with the Islamic terrorism that exists. This is a tough business to run for president.
I know. You're a tough guy, Jeb.
And we need to have a leader that is real tough. You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the presidency.
Let's see. I'm at 42 and you're at 3, so far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing better. You know, you started off over here, Jeb. You're moving over further and further. Pretty soon you're going to be off the end.
Now, this might strike you as schoolyard bullying, and honestly, it is, but it has a very effective way of communicating that Donald Trump is the dominant force in any interaction that he has had in these debates with Jeb Bush, and the poll numbers reflect that. Jeb, with every single advantage, has plummeted. Here's another example of Donald Trump absolutely running over Jeb Bush at a presidential debate. And now pay attention to the number of crutch words that Jeb uses compared to Donald, the way that Jeb's face looks when Donald cuts him off. Donald comes across as the dominant personality in this interaction.
It doesn't work for anybody on this stage.
I was a businessman. I got along with Clinton. I got along with everybody. That was my job, to get along with people.
But the simple fact is...
Excuse me. 1 second.
No.
I didn't want to...
Donald, you cannot take...
More energy tonight. I like that.
Look, I was asked the question.
If you notice, Jeb is looking at Trump the entire time, while Trump never even looks in his direction. He's going to talk no matter what.
I didn't want... It was my obligation as a businessman to my family, to my company, to my employees.
Now, this might come across to you as a complete jerk move, but what people see behind that is strength, because honestly, Jeb Bush's personality cannot compete with the dominance of Donald Trump's. And now Trump has set it up such that he's created this climate of intense fear, and he's also made his opponents look completely inept when it comes to handling it, because they can't even handle him on stage. So he sets himself up as the logical strongman, and then promises Americans what they crave most deeply, which is a return to dominance, a return to that situation where we don't have to be afraid because we have the strong man leading us, and which in turn makes us feel more powerful. And he spells that sentiment out exactly when he says no one is going to mess with us.
I will rebuild our military. It will be so powerful and so great that we'll never have to use it. Nobody's going to mess with us, folks. Nobody. Nobody's going to mess with us.
So there you go, Donald promising total dominance. Nobody's ever gonna mess with us. Here's another example of Donald Trump's style of black and white, everything you ever dreamed of rhetoric.
We're going to start winning so much
that you're going to get used to winning instead of getting used to losing. Whether it's military, whether it's trade, healthcare, we always lose. We're going to always win again.
And you see here where most politicians might acknowledge that with effort and compromise you can achieve a certain goal, Donald Trump promises us what we really want, which is to win in every arena, every time, guaranteed. This is the 6-minute abs version of politics. Does it work? No. But do people buy it in droves? Absolutely. Now, this tactic of creating an atmosphere of fear, presenting yourself as a strongman, and promising the world is actually very, very common in the world of politics. The problem is, it makes you extremely vulnerable. Lots of people are going to be attacking you from the other side, and if you're ever seen as weak, you come across as a hypocrite who cannot deliver on their promises. One of the most fascinating things about Donald Trump is that he's always presenting himself as a winner, and the most basic way that he does this is through social proof. So take a look at these clips just from his opening remarks at one of the debates.
But I began it talking about other things, and those things are things I'm very good at, and maybe that's why I'm center stage. People saw it, people liked it, people respected it. People like what I say, people respect what I say.
So you see over and over again that Trump emphasizes that he is a winner, that he has been a winner. He quotes his poll numbers. He gets the best of the debates in most exchanges. But there's always going to be those situations where somebody gets the best of him. And as a strongman, he can't afford that, which is where one of his most incredible skills comes in, and that is deflection with humor. Watch what happens in this next clip as the audience starts to boo.
Well, let me just tell you something, and you know because you just saw the numbers yourself. NBC Wall Street Journal just came out with a poll. Headline, Trump way up, Cruz going down.
There he goes again, quoting his winning poll numbers. Now see how he deals with the boos.
I mean, so you can't, they don't like the Wall Street Journal, they don't like NBC, but I like the poll. And frankly, it just came out, and...
Now watch that. They were just booing him. He cracks this joke, people laugh, and watch how quickly the sentiment of the crowd changes.
In Iowa now, as you know, Ted, in the last 3 polls, I'm beating you. So, you shouldn't misrepresent how well you're doing with the polls.
So that is the power of laughter. It is a pattern interrupt. You can't stay booing and upset and angry when somebody makes you uncontrollably laugh. It also makes you more receptive to whatever comes next that somebody has to say because they've already started to lead you emotionally. So what Donald Trump is doing here is using laughter to take control of situations where he's starting to lose control. And what that does for him is it effectively helps him dodge any points that you make against him because he can almost erase them with a laughing crowd. This also works for ducking very pointed attacks like this one that you might have already seen on YouTube.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
And you hear Megyn Kelly here. Her point is getting drowned out. Obviously, it was more than just Rosie O'Donnell, but because Donald has made the audience crack up, the entire point gets lost. It gets dismissed as ludicrous, which is what Donald goes on to say in his answer. It was just a joke, yada, yada, yada. And people have accepted that at this point because he made them laugh. Now, it's not just through laughter that Donald Trump is able to avoid talking about any of the contentious issues in his record. In fact, one of the most popular ways for him that he's able to avoid engaging in any sort of reasonable debate about the things that he has said and done is by simply acting superior to them. So in this clip, Jeb is levying some charges against him. Watch Donald's face as he listens. He doesn't look at Jeb, and really he just has this complete look of disbelief and disgust, which communicates to the audience this is ludicrous. He doesn't even have to defend himself.
That ISIS was not our fight just 2 months ago. He said that Hillary Clinton would be a great negotiator with Iran, and he gets his foreign policy experience from the shows. That is not a serious kind of candidate. We need some.
So take that sort of nonverbal communication and contrast that with the reverse when Donald Trump goes and attacks Jeb Bush and see if you have a sense of how Jeb feels about it.
The trouble that we're now, and by the way, Jeb, you mentioned Boeing. Take a look. They order planes. They make Boeing build their plant in
So notice how Jeb is looking at Donald. It's clear that he is ready to react to him.
China. They don't want them made here. They want those planes made in China. That's not the way the game is supposed to be played.
You see that frustrated, tight look on Jeb's mouth. Basically what's going on here is that Donald is leading Jeb. Jeb appears to be reacting to him, which he is. And this is where that communication of strength goes through. Donald Trump sets the tone. Even when he's losing, he's able to reverse it with laughter. He acts superior to accusations against him, and then the people around him can't seem to deal with the accusations that he levies against him. So I want to show one more clip of Donald Trump now dealing with a situation where somebody actually does get the better of him just for a moment. And in this clip, the situation is that they've just asked the candidates what their code name would be if they were to win president. Donald has been going at Jeb for being low energy, and Jeb responds.
Ever ready. It's very high energy, Donald.
So Jeb gets in a zinger. And look at that. Jeb slaps his hand like a little kid walks up to a teenager when he extends his hand to be slapped. It's ridiculous. Donald is able to take control of this situation. He clearly sees that Jeb has won the audience with this little joke. And so, rather than trying to make it a super serious thing, he makes himself a player in the funny game. And watch now as he one-ups even what Jeb did.
Mr. Trump?
Humble.
That's a good one.
And again, here we have Jeb reacting very much. It becomes Donald's game that everyone else is reacting to. And it's this way that we get the sense that Donald is the leader. So you combine the atmosphere of fear that he's created with the fact that he seems to be the leader in so many ways. He promises this sense of dominance, of a return to not having to worry about what's going to happen because he's going to lead and be protective over the nation. And what you've got is someone who is very, very powerful. Add to that this thing that he seems to be like Teflon. Whenever something comes at him, he can divert or deflect with a joke. He's in a very, very powerful position. Now, we still have yet to see what goes on with these Republican primaries, but don't count Trump out just because you think this is a fluke. In terms of charismatic personalities, he has everyone else in the field beat, whether you like it or not. And truth be told, there's a lot more that I found on him that I just didn't have space for in this video. So if you'd like to see that stuff, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll do another follow-up video. Of course, subscribe if you want to be the first to know whenever we release a new video, which is typically every Monday morning, sometimes more often than that. And of course, if you're interested in going deeper into the topic of confidence and in terms of finding out the things that you can do inside of 60 seconds to boost your own confidence, whether it's before a speech that you have to give or meeting someone that might be important, you can click the link that will pop up now. It'll take you to another page where you pop in an email, and we've set up a video that gives you the number one thing that I do to feel more confident inside of 60 seconds that you can take as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope that you subscribe. Let me know other stuff that you'd like to see in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.